Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to my channel. Let's see who's on today. Okay, stream status is good. We've got Dark Wolf's Den. Sounds like I forgot to turn off my other channel here. Yeah, we don't need to listen to that in the background. PG 2424, Plume, Life Matrix. It's me, Sia, Kyokuk Monty, Dark Wolf's Den, Mrs. J. Couldn't send you an email info. Could you email me and then I could reply with the info? Oops, I'm not sure what we're talking about there. Dark Wolf's Den, let's see. I think, Silver E55. I think that's everybody. All right. Stream status still looks good. I think we're ready to roll here. Is a thumbnail a fish or a flower? I will get to that. All right, here we go. This first one, I really only found it in one place. This was found by Bill Bird. There's a big spiel on the 8 most beautiful eyes in the world, but most of these ones are covered already. But number 5, mirror eyes. They're saying if the eyes are so dark black that they turn into mirrors. I could not find much on this. I don't know if this is some kind of Photoshop at this point or what, but I thought I would cover it. I have not ever seen this on anything before. Look at how, look at those eyes. Like mirrors? I've never seen anything like that before. Look, crazy. I've absolutely never seen anything like that. I don't care if the eyes are black. I mean, that shouldn't look like that. So, I mean, they're saying it's if the eyes are really, really dark, but I don't know. That one, I don't know if that's up and coming or what, but creepy. Chanty Moody's awake. Welcome, welcome. Like mirrored glasses. Yeah. I mean, then I've looked at a lot of these weird eye color ones before, and black eyes are sort of a new one where they say it's so dark brown that it's black. But I've never seen mirror eyes, and they're saying it's just caused by having really dark eyes. It was really vague, so I don't know what's going on with that one. But interesting. Okay, this one is a channel I like to visit. It's channel Mr. MBB333, and he just has lots of weird stuff on it. He has never said a diddly diddly about the Mandela Effect, but just recently here, what was this? December 18th, he's talking a lot about he says people have been emailing him saying the moon is weird to them. And it is one of our Mandela effects that is being called in, basically. This is the phases of the moon that I'm familiar with, and they're upright. This shows that as upright. The moon is like this, and then the phases go like this. But as I probably mentioned, and has been happening for me, it's been a few years now, that the moon, the lighted portion of the moon actually rotates slowly through the night. Sometimes you even get a Cheshire moon where it looks like a smiley. Actually, it's probably been even more than a few years, but it's getting more and more pronounced in the last few years. So what he was saying is that people are writing him saying they've never seen that before in all of their lives. Interesting that he's just writing about it now. He said that he noticed it, but he wasn't sure if he had bad memory, but people kept writing in. There's me commenting on it. Also, they're talking about how the man in the moon is gone. It doesn't look like the man in the moon anymore. I knew I wasn't crazy. I live in Southern California. I work late hours, so I'm up odd hours. I told my husband the other day it looked different that week. It was upside down. He laughed and probably thought I was crazy. It seems like a bunch of people on here are just noticing it for the first time recently. And that's one thing I've seen on Retconned. I don't know if we have a bunch of new people into this timeline, but there's a bunch of people coming on that are saying they just noticed things the last month or the last week or the last 2 months that have been kind of 2 or 3 year old MEs for me. So maybe there's some people new to the party. I'm not sure. The MEs have kind of slowed down a little bit for me the last few weeks. So I think the ones that I'm covering now are probably a little bit older, just hadn't been noticed yet. Also, you may notice that my voice still sounds bad, so I apologize. The cold is getting better, but it's been very slow. I do actually feel pretty good, but my throat has been very slow to heal from this one. And what's happened before when I got flus is that my throat heals, but I just noticed slightly lower octave on my voice after each one, and I'm guessing that I'm going to get that now. I just mentioned this to my buddy today at work, and now I see this video seeing the same in Michigan. So that was just like a day ago that he's just noticing it. I don't see how you could just be noticing it. It's been going on for years, for me anyway. Moon is upside down. I'm looking at it as I type this, thought it looked off. Yeah, this is not the first time for me that we had that weird Cheshire moon. I have been asking some questions about the moon for 3 years now. I noticed anomalies in the daytime sky and began looking for others posting that they were seeing these things as well. There is a wine company called Seven Moons that uses these new phases of the moon as their label. Been noticing this for almost 4 years now. Okay, so there's some people who are noticing it for longer. People swearing it's the fake sun. I told you people about this over 2 years ago, and now you finally looked up into the sky. Get your faces out of your phones, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I just think it's interesting. Like, almost nobody on here is even talking about the Mandela effect. They didn't hear about it from us, but they're still noticing it. So I just wanted to bring that one up. This guy's channel is a pretty good channel, too. He's finally talking about some Mandela Effect stuff, which I find is really interesting because he hasn't said anything about it for all the time I've been watching. But it's just, I don't know, it's just interesting to me that we're hearing the same from those people. Okay, here's another one. I think I touched on this somewhat before. Where's these new Madrid ones? Okay, these new Madrid earthquakes are from Bob Robertson. As usual, we have a lot from him. All right, let me just see what's going on with the chit-chat here. Would make more sense if they were so light they reflected. Talking about the eyes. I think we're kind of, I don't know. I mean, it kind of is taught. You know, when you have your cell phone and it's totally off and you use it as a mirror. I mean, maybe it's more of a girl thing, but when it's completely black, you can use it as kind of a mirror and see yourself. So I kind of thought it was like that. Chanty Moody, I've seen 3 children with eyes like that recently. I saved their images because their eyes are so beautiful that I wanted to paint portraits of them. Interesting. Moon rabbit now. Yeah, I did mention that before. It's a rabbit in the moon now. There are 9 phases of the moon. Really? I'm going to have to look that one up here in a second. Gurgle throat with salt water. Yes, actually, I have been doing a lot of saltwater gargle, hydrogen peroxide gargle, just plain water gargle. Hydrogen peroxide tastes really bad, but it seems to work the best. Even a little like honey and water. Honey and hot water taste, I mean, it does something. I don't know. It feels really good, but. So it's not really, I mean, it's just making it so my throat itches less. And that's, I feel pretty good tonight, actually. I feel like my strength is back. It's just, it's been a really weird flu. A lot of people around here are getting it. This is the same kind of problem we had last winter. It just is a flu that doesn't want to let go. I'm used to just, once you start to feel a little better, you figure in a few days I'll be fine. It just won't let go. It just drags on. I thought maybe it was me. Maybe I was getting sickly or something, but everybody's saying that it lasts at least a week, more like 2 weeks. And I don't know anybody who's gotten over it in less than a week. So I guess it's just kind of a super flu or something. Have you seen the lunar wave captured on video lately? Yeah, there's like a weird little ripple that goes through a lot of videos of the moon. I haven't looked at it lately, but there's a lot of video out there. You can see it on YouTube. Anyway, that ripple goes through this timeline. I don't remember, years ago, I've never heard of anything like that. The moon was seen in the day since I was a child. Otherwise, solar eclipses wouldn't be possible. However, these new phases make no sense. For me, the moon was only a nighttime phenomena. We did not have lunar eclipses. In fact, we didn't call them lunar eclipses. It was just a new moon. You had an eclipse every month, and it was just new moon. That was the lunar eclipse. You didn't call it an eclipse, though. You just called it new moon. It was the Earth's shadow over the moon, hiding preventing the light from reflecting off the moon. And that was just at night. We didn't have it during the day. Oh, that's another thing that you're reminding me. I looked up about 6, 8, maybe a month, maybe 12 months ago. It used to be easy to find an explanation of why the moon rotates. I just will look why moon rotates, why large portion of the moon rotates. And it was easy to find. I could not find a thing on it this time. I was going to post something on that guy's channel. Nothing. I could not find a single scientific explanation. It's just, you do a Google and you just find everything but what you're looking for. So I don't know what's up. Is that going to change, or it's too complicated now, or what? And it's weird because he apparently couldn't find it either, because on his channel he's guessing why it's doing that. And this is a guy who does a lot of research. He's not just going to get up there and yap. He could not find the info. So I don't know what's going on with that. I thought our moon was tidal lock. That's Kyoko Monte. They're saying tidal lock is just that it always shows us the same face. And it doesn't rotate. And it's still that way, but they're now saying it rotates like a little. That used to not be the case for me, though. It didn't rotate at all, but now it does wobble a little. Last I checked. Actually, let me just see. See what they're saying these days. That's swear I wrote type lock. Let's see what we got here. When an object's orbital period matches its rotational period. Is the moon perfectly tidal locked? And if not, how long will it take us to observe its rotation? The moon indeed wobbles about in its orbit because it goes around the Earth in an ellipse and not a circle. From our point of view, it wobbles a little back and forth. All right, on this timeline. In my old timeline, sun was here, Earth was here, moon was here. Earth would rotate, moon would stay here. So we would go around the sun. The moon would always stay opposite the sun. And that's why we'd always see it at night. Because we're either facing the sun or we're facing the moon. That's not how it works here, though. All right. I'm just munching on these cough drops. All right, anyway. Oh, yeah, the 9 phases of the moon. I think a lot of it just depends on how they want to split it up. Here, apparently, you never really have a complete new moon either. There's always a tiny sliver there. In my old timeline, there was a new moon because the shadow of the Earth would completely cover the moon. But in this timeline, they call that an eclipse. The rest of the time, there's a tiny little sliver there. All right, so this is what they're calling the phases of the moon. See, I didn't have this fat kind of moon either. It was always a crescent. It would be a crescent going the other way. Well, anyway, okay. Where are we? Okay, these new Madrid earthquakes. No. Bob Robertson brought this one up. There's a couple things that I researched on this a bit. One thing that they're saying about these new Madrid earthquakes is that they didn't happen on a fault line. Apparently now there's a story that we can have really big earthquakes in the middle of a tectonic plate, not anywhere near the fault line. And it's happened a bunch before, and they were built really big quakes. So that's a new bit of the storyline now, that you can have the quakes anywhere. Now, in my old timeline, the big quakes were all in the Ring of Fire. And if you didn't have a fault line around, you weren't going to have a big quake. It was impossible because quakes happen on fault lines. In fact, when I moved to where I live in San Diego, my particular portion, I went on this outdoor hike that was scheduled out in a park near me. And the guy there was really heavy into stuff like this, earthquakes and geology. And one thing he did was he brought a map showing where all the fault lines in the area was. And he was saying, this is a great place to live in San Diego because there's no big fault lines near here. We can't have a big quake. I mean, there could be a huge quake somewhere else and it could still be pretty big here. But overall, we're not going to get hammered because there's no big fault lines near. And that was always the mantra. If there was no big faults, you were not going to have a big quake. And then some years back, I started hearing that they were having weird little quakes in places that never had quakes before. And they were blaming it on fracking. But now they're coming up with these, there's always been big quakes there. And these new Madrid ones. I've been hearing a little bit about this for the last year, and I think I covered this in part, but These are some of the biggest earthquakes in the world. The new earthquakes was the biggest earthquakes in American history. They occurred in central Mississippi Valley. There were over 2,000 quakes in the central Midwest and between 6,000 and 10,000 earthquakes in Bothiel of Missouri, where New Madrid is located. So apparently this drug on for years. 3 of the earthquakes on the list were America's top earthquakes. In 1811, it was 8.1, 7.8 on 1812, a 7 in 1812, or 8.8 in 1812. Now, this one I've been hearing for about a year. After the February 7 earthquake, boatmen reported that the Mississippi actually ran backwards for several hours. The force of the land upheaval caused this, drowning the inhabitants of an Indian village, devastated thousands of acres of virgin forest. And they were saying the shaking was so hard that it was snapping off trees. I've never heard of any earthquake snapping trees. Boatmen on flatbeds actually survived this experience and lived to tell the tale. And this is a weird part a little bit here that I'm only seeing on this website right now. The general area experienced more than 2,000 earthquakes in 5 months. People discovered that most of the crevices opening up during an earthquake ran from north-south. And when the earth began moving, they would chop down trees in an east-west direction and hold on using the tree as a bridge. This sounds ridiculous, and I wasn't able to verify it anywhere else. But I mean, if there's an earthquake happening, you have time to chop down a tree. It just doesn't seem likely, but I don't know what the heck's going on. There were missing people who were most likely swallowed up by the earth. Some earthquake fissures were as long as 5 miles. Now, this is another one I'm really suspicious of. When I was a kid, they did have these earthquake movies, and they scared the crap out of me because I was a California native, and we have huge earthquakes here. And so I asked and I looked into these when I was older, and the fact is that the earth just did not open up and swallow people. It didn't used to happen, except for in movies. And I was much relieved by that. There was no history of anything more than, a slight. I mean, it would move and you could see the road move, but they wouldn't open into these vast fissures. But apparently that's not the case anymore. It can, I guess, swallow you whole, or at least it did in New Madrid. There's some more features that I think I've covered these before, but sand boils, where the sand boils up. I guess they actually try to sandbag those now. Didn't have sand boils before. Tar balls are pushed up from the sand. Earthquake lights, again, that was just a theory or kind of a new agey, airy-fairy, ha-ha thing that there would be such a thing. But here they're accepted. Water becomes warm and is pushed up. This is a new one I have not heard. It's speculated that the shaking caused the water to heat up, and a quartz light heated the water. I've never heard of quartz light heating water. Here's another one. Earthquake smog. The skies turned dark during the earthquakes. So dark that lighted lamps didn't help. The air smelled bad, and it was hard to breathe. It is speculated it was smog containing dust particles caused by the eruption of warm water into cold air. I tried to look into this more, and I did see some chit-chat about smog being caused by earthquakes. Now, when I was in the bigger quakes that happened historically here in California, like Northridge, they did say that a lot of dust was shaken up by the repeated aftershocks, and it caused an increase in valley fever and asthma and stuff. But if you just looked at the sky, you didn't see anything. You didn't smell anything. It looked normal out there. So I didn't notice anything. I mean, if the news hadn't said that, I would not have said that there was any smog or anything. But this earthquake smog thing seems to be the new storyline. And also this one I've been hearing too. Loud thunder. I'm starting to hear more talk about there being weird noises associated with earthquakes. This was never the case before. Sounds of distant thunder and loud explosions accompanied the earthquakes. Now, I've been seeing things on TV about thunderous noises and weird noises preceding earthquakes. Just recently, they were saying a weird electromagnetic phenomena are well known to precede earthquakes, and they're using them to predict earthquakes. Now, in my old timeline, they couldn't predict the quakes. They tried to predict by, like, just the seismic activity itself, the actual shaking, and that was it. Now, we totally had the ability to observe electromagnetic phenomena, in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. I can't believe it wouldn't be something that they would have noticed if there was a weird electromagnetic phenomena before a quake. But I just saw in the news recently that there supposedly are now, and they can use it to predict likelihood of a quake. It's totally new for me. Supposedly it's been known a long time though, but totally new. Animal warnings. Okay, animal warnings were another thing that they just would say, some people think it's true. This is another one I've never heard. Tecumseh's Comet. The earthquakes were preceded by the appearance of a great comet, which was visible around the globe for 17 months and was at its brightest during the earthquakes. The comet, with an orbit of 3,065 years, was last seen during the time of Ramses. Just never heard of this either. This is all just like a weird story to me. The first steamboat on Western waters survived the earthquakes. I don't know, the whole thing is just weird. Weird. Alright. Let's see what you guys are talking about now that I've been yakking on. Matthew T., Strange Light in Our Skies. Yes, I'm going to get to that one. Although I don't have much info on it, just what people are saying. A lone one. Have you seen the rainbow grapes? I've touched on those before. From what I can tell, botanists are saying it's mostly just photoshopped. There is some variation in grape color, but not the extreme ones that you are seeing. Now, maybe in some future timelines we'll get that, but last I checked, rainbow grapes. I actually do a fair amount of planting and that kind of thing. I have an interest in plants, and so one of the big problems that we have, and this might be part of the ME scam, is that unscrupulous seed sellers will Photoshop images like this, and then they will say that they have seeds for it, and they will sell the seeds. And by the time the seeds get big enough and you find out you don't have grapes this color, that seed shop has sold up, changed names, or shut down, changed names, and is somewhere else on Amazon or somewhere else on eBay selling seeds. So it takes a couple of years to get these plants to grow big enough for you to find out you've been ripped off. So last I checked, these ones here are all baloney. This one here could be realistic in that these are green ones that aren't ripe. These are ripe ones. And the sun is shining through these ones, making them look different colors. This one could be a realistic one. Even in my old timeline, I don't remember that much variation. I remember them ripening all at once. But anyway, so that's my opinion on the seeds for now, the grapes. And it's not just these. There's other plants that have a lot of Photoshop baloney to them too. All right, let's see. Here we are. Jim Baker is now Jim Baker with a 2Ks. Yeah, he was definitely Baker. Now it looks like Jim Backer. Really? Actually, I just got to check that. Is it really Jim Backer now? James Baker. Sounds like that's James Baker is a different dude. All right. Yeah, Jim Baker, the televangelist. That's totally wrong. No, I agree with you. Looks like Jim Backer now. That's weird. Maybe he'll be a better guy in this timeline. I don't know. Indicted on federal charges. Well, he still got busted. In this timeline. All right. So, let's see. Who is that? Who came up with that one? Mrs. J. I agree with you. Last night, the top of the moon had a shadow. Interesting. I didn't look last night. There's literature talking about the time before the moon. I'll tell you, to me, the moon is getting smaller. And you'll see it less. You used to see it every night. Then for a while, you'd see it during the day or the night. But now during the day, you can't see it a lot because now they're saying that if it's crescent moon, you can't see it during the day very much. Because for a while there, we were seeing it a ton during the day, and then we weren't. Because now the timeline is saying that if it's crescent moon in the daytime, the sun drowns it out. I think the orbit has changed some on it because now it kind of gets really near the sun when it's crescent. It follows the sun. So it's like the moon is kind of being pushed onto the back burner. We used to need the moon at night to see, but now we don't as much because the sky is lighter at night. The clouds glow. Have you seen the new species of spider that looks like a skull? Check that one out. Oh, this might be it here. Is that real? The noble spider of the genius. No, it looks like that is not. All right, those are not real. This apparently is real. Or this might be it here. Skull image on the butt. Well, that'd be convenient if nature's going to make them labeled with the false widows. Spiders are flocking to bedrooms across the UK. I don't remember false widows in my old timeline. I certainly don't remember these things. Spiders with the big... I don't know what that is, but... these ones really made me laugh. I saw these like 2 years ago. I can go on all day looking at these things. There's always new ones. Oh, okay, maybe it's this one. Death head spider. Let's look this one up. Looks like there's a whole bunch of them that kind of look like a skull. I think it's this thing. Does kind of look like a skull. And look at that. It looks like a skull with like a hat. It's pretty weird. See if we could find another image of it. There's not many images of it yet. It's like the same image over and over again. It must be pretty fresh. Fresh MEs just don't seem to have many photos. You usually can't find any video. You just see a couple images. It's this weird a spider, but there's only like 2 images in the entire internet. This spider has an eerie inverted death's head on its body. Huh. Interesting. All right. Day the sun had a rainbow on both sides. A lot of weird halos on the rainbow now. I'm on the sun now. That's funny. I wonder if Jim Baker knows he's got an extra K in his name now. You know, in my experience, the person on the inside of the ME thinks it's always been that way. People have even said that my login name has changed. To me, it has not changed. We've seen a lot of channels, YouTube channels, name changes, and to them, they all say that it was always that way. Now, YouTube, you can actually change your channel name. I think most of these are legit that they did it, but on Reddit, you can't change your login name without getting a whole new account and losing your entire history of your old account. So it'd be impossible for me to change it. The word skull now is spelled skull. SCULL is now SKULL. Always was SKULL for me. There's a strange new geyser in Nevada. Let's see what we got here. Spell it right. Let's try spelling it right. For a minute, I couldn't remember. There we go. Oh, that thing. Okay. I've been watching this one for a while. When it started, it was pretty normal. I saw this one show up about 2 years ago. Fly geyser. I should just read them. I should read what they're saying about it. Located on private land. Beautiful thing now. When it first showed, it was just kind of a regular geyser. Very slowly, all these colors have been added. Now, these plateaus of different colored water are the most recent addition. It was just on flat land before. Oh, beautiful thing. Look at that. Just the colors weren't like that at all. It's ridiculous now. Changing a similar way to a lot of the geysers in Yosemite. And they're saying it's different colored bacteria making all these colors. So this is Fly Geyser, Nevada. At the time, we talked to people from Nevada, and they didn't even know about this thing. If this was in your backyard, you would know about that beautiful thing. All right, so where are we here? The New Madrid Fault is the one that will supposedly connect the Gulf of Mexico and the Great Lakes. You know, I just noticed that the rivers, the inland rivers are getting larger. Lots more islands, lots more divisions that way. I would not be surprised if this quake never really goes off, but yet the Mandela slowly adds in those rivers anyway. I spoke to a few elderly folks here in Missouri, and they don't recall any big earthquakes in Missouri. Yep, no, I don't think so. That was always the thing. People were like, oh, you're crazy to live in California because all those scary earthquakes. Well, now there's freaking earthquakes everywhere. So it wouldn't be like that big a deal living in California and having earthquakes when you had some of the worst earthquakes ever in like New Madrid, worse than here. You can have earthquakes even if there's no fault lines nearby. But yeah, that was always the thing. People that didn't live here are like, earthquakes are so scary. I don't want to live in California because of those. That's what they would say. It doesn't even make any sense to say that now. Have you ever heard of the trumpet sounds? We've covered those before. Started hearing about those about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 3. Just weird noises in the sky. They sound like trumpets. I swear some of them sound like the TARDIS on Doctor Who. Scientists are saying that weird inverted pressure layers are bouncing sound waves from one place to another. The sound waves get warped and then somehow amplified or something. Kind of weird stuff. It didn't happen in my old timeline. A lot of people are thinking it's another one of the Bible prophecies, those sounds. Have I heard of Japoticaba tree? I did hear about that one about 10 years ago. Japoticaba, I'll show you. It is a weird tree. For me, it's been around a while, but the fruit are let's see, Japoticaba tree. The fruit have gotten more mirror-like. They used to be just like plums, like little plums. There's also a lot more of them. They do weirdly grow on the trunk, but they didn't have that many. So it looks a lot. It always looked weird, but it's a lot weirder now. It wasn't covered wall to wall like that. And see, I had never seen an image like that before with that many on there. This is one tree I looked into. I looked into all kinds of weird trees when I moved here about 20 years ago. And I did see this one somewhere in my searching. But again, it looked nothing like that. And the fruits did not have that mirror finish to them. Trumpets in the Revelation. Yeah, Revelations was in Revelations with an S for me. The DEW cooking people in their cars. California seems more troubling. The DEW? I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is now. Peoplecooker.com. Alright, so apparently it's some kind of electronic weapon thing. I don't know. Not a lot of info on it. Alright. This is where I was supposed to be. This one is This is from Jason Maggard, his channel, Mandela Effect in High School. I wanted to bring this one up. Somebody mentioned this one. One of the commenters mentioned this guy recently. I think it was Bob Robertson. I didn't write it down because I'm a bum. Anyway, the original source is Jason Maggard, or Maggard. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. What he was saying, and it's been kind of covered already, but I just wanted to mention it because it's creepy. There's been a lot of talk about how bad the human memory is lately. I think it's another Mandela cover-up. So I guess the kids are learning in school how our memory sucks. But what was creepy was his child, after being taught how bad our memory is and all the ways it's terrible, was then given a sheet of common bad memory items. And guess what? They were all popular Mandela Effects. The Target Mandela, Oscar Mayer, Fruit of the Loom. Let's see, the other side of the page was our Mr. Moneybags, Febreze, all Mandela Effects. So it's Coke Zero. I mean, when I was a kid, we would learn that we would learn about this, and they would say, you know, witness recognition and recall is not good, and they would give examples of witnesses that recalled badly. They wouldn't give a list of Mandela effects. So it's like, I don't know. That really freaks me out. Anyway, so good job, Jason. I definitely give that one a thumbs up. Here's another weird one. Silver E55. Spoke to an aero engineer on the other day about the crazy forward engine configuration on planes. He went a bit odd and didn't want to talk about it. What the F? Yep, that's what happens. People don't want to talk about it because I think to them the two possible explanations are both something they don't want to deal with. That either they have a really bad memory and it's supposed to be their area of expertise. So if you had a bad memory about that, you'd almost have to have dementia. Or, you know, something impossible happened. And neither one of them are something they can tolerate, that their mind can tolerate. So they just hide from it, I think. Green can of Coke. Never have, but I saw it on another channel. Huh. I don't know. Is that a thing now? Green Coke cans. Can't swear on that one. Oh, from 2015. Had stevia in it. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Coke Life? It's Coke Life. Okay, Coca-Cola Life. I've never heard of that. Absolutely have not heard of this Coke Life stevia thing. Huh. Is Coke Life being discontinued? 2006 it was reformulated. 2017 it was discontinued. Huh, weird. No, I've never heard that before. School thing pisses me off. Yes. Yeah. Get your own freaking examples. Don't steal the Mandela ones. The people who run from the Mandela effect are cowards. Well, I think that really they're just average people. When you say the word coward, I think you're trying to say they're more chicken than average. And I don't think you can say that about the whole population. I mean, I guess you can. You could say whatever you want, but... Oh, yeah. Van Gogh self-portrait. Somebody asked me to look that up. All right. How many of them are there? None of those remind me of the ones I remember. All right, let me try some anti-cough things here. We will try the lidocaine first. That might help a little bit. Want to be quiet there for a second to let it kind of soak in. It may help, but I probably won't get rid of it all. All the extra talking seems to be contributing to the problem here. I don't recognize that one. I really don't. This one is the most similar to what I remember it looking like. He looks kind of alien in there, though, really. I don't remember his face that skinny on the bottom. I don't remember anything like this. His face is weird looking in there. Don't remember that one. This one is close to what I remember. I don't remember this shirt, though. Yeah, I don't remember those. Would kids in high school even understand about Fruit of the Loom or the Oscar Mayer or the Moneybags? Probably not, but there have been a lot of parents coming forward saying that kids have noticed the newer MEs. And kids, they're in learning mode, so they're learning all the details of things. So they do seem to really notice when a little detail flips on them. Like one person said that her kid was flipping out because turmeric changed to turmeric. And the child had just learned the word for the spice, and then suddenly there's an R on it. So just stuff like that. So they do notice things, but they probably won't be as excited about the same MEs that we are excited about. Maybe, there'll be like the latest rap stars named spelling change or something. Ones that the rest of us wouldn't even hardly know. Some 16-year-old kid interest things. So they can see the ME, but I don't think they'll see the same MEs that we see so much. I have looked out at the engines in panic hundreds of times and they weren't there. Yeah. To me, the wings are a lot more smaller and raked back, too. A lot smaller. Used to be beast-sized wings. The painting of the Last Supper has changed. There is no cup anymore. Yeah, the Holy Grail's gone. Mine never had a Holy Grail, but it looked completely different than that. Completely different. But a lot of people say it had a Holy Grail for them. I never heard of that. To me, a Holy Grail was only in legend. It was a story of the Knights of the Round Table. It didn't exist anywhere else. The bad memory thing gets in my goat at times, but do have to question it a little bit. I always go with your gut. There's a lot of MEs that I could be wrong on, but there are some MEs that I know I'm not wrong on, and they're big. Like a whole continent being missing, the geology and anatomy ones. Not every last anatomy one, but there are some I know, and there are some I've been watching change. So it's like it's changing in front of my eyes. So no, I'm not wrong on those. Wings much thinner and flatter. Yep, thinner, flatter, and more angled back. The Holy Grail cup was on the wall. For a while, it looked like there was a cup on the wall. I remember seeing videos on it, but now it doesn't really look like a cup on the wall anymore. Let's take a quick peek over here at the indicator MEs. See where those have run off to. Things been loading a little slow on here, so we'll see if we can get this thing to load. Here. The magic. All right, now I'm going to try a different cough one. That one was helping some, but it's still itchy. That one really tastes bad. All right, here we go. All right, so for a while, this was really fuzzy and this looked like a Holy Grail. Now the question is, what in the heck is this thing? It's obviously not a Holy Grail now. For a while, it did look like one. Clearly, it's not now. I don't know what this is supposed to be. It doesn't look like anything. I'm not noticing any huge changes since that last time I looked. The blue in these windows and the dirt seems to be lower than I remember it. There's more of this gray sky. There's less blue. And that's about it. Little minor variations on the table would be hard for me to spot. Anyway, so yeah, no more grail anywhere on here. Might as well run through these and see if anybody notices anything. I haven't checked in the last few weeks. Must be the end of it there. Do quickie changes. Been a little quiet on the ME front for me. I haven't been noticing any huge changes. Still waiting to see what this thing on the side of Lincoln's head is. Looked for it again a couple days ago. Could not find any info on what the thing on the side of his head is. The cravat here might be a little bit more developed, but it's minor. There have not been any major changes to the morphing house on a hill for me. His foot looks like it's about to be cut off over here. This one's changing more than a lot of them. This area here is cut off. This foot is running out of space. This whole painting is getting squished together. His hand didn't used to crouch up this high. There's not a huge amount of changes, but this one is the fastest changing for me lately. Stomach. I thought this one would change, but it hasn't changed since I've looked at it. Since I did it. Let's see. This one hasn't changed much. I think this thing across the top might have gotten a little bigger than I recall. Okay, we're back to my original timeline there with the white underneath. All right. I don't notice any huge changes. Vitruvian man looks older. He looks really raggedy with the hair, and he looks kind of angry. Not a real recent change for me, but yes, the face is very different. Yeah, it's that image of the Last Supper. The real Last Supper in this timeline is super degraded. So you can't really see anything on it anymore. Used to be the Last Supper was in okay shape, but this one's terrible. Now, interestingly enough, I think I covered a week or two ago that there's a second Last Supper that was found. So that one's going to be nicer looking probably. So basically for the current Last Supper, they just, people have made images of what they think the Last Supper is supposed to look like. And I just picked one of those and I stick with it. And I look for changes in that because you can't see diddly on the real one anymore. I don't remember that modesty panel in the center of the table. That big weird panel in the middle. Let's see if I can find it again. Whoop. No, wait, it wasn't that one. It's way over on the other side. All right, this thing is a door that in this timeline was once cut into this wall that the Last Supper is painted on, and some images show it and some don't. But yeah, that is an Emmy, but an older one for me anyway. Sorry about my voice. I actually feel a lot better, but my voice has been lagging on the repairs. There's nothing more freaky than seeing things change in front of you. Yeah, something about when it's right there on, like, for instance, O'Reilly's has a little clover inside the O. I think in this timeline it's O'Reilly, if I remember correctly. Auto Parts was O'Reilly's. That's the popular. That it was O'Reilly's is the popular ME. And it was for me. But also, a few months back, I noticed the little clover in the images here. Images. This little clover showed up. It was a lot smaller at that time. Really just like half that size. And I've been watching it grow. I'm just freaky to watch it grow. And another one that's been changing for me is the Walmart star. This star keeps growing. It was just half that size before. And there's a Walmart near me because there's a Walmart everywhere. And I'm just watching this thing get bigger and bigger. It's a trip. Just really a trip. I used to be wearing drab coloring. I'm talking about the Last Supper. Yes. For me, it was a dark room with a low ceiling. The room was made out of wood. There were torches in the wall. You could not see their feet, just the table. And them, they were wearing drab clothing. Their positioning was totally different. It was more realistic. It looks a little cartoonish now. Completely different. Way less stuff on the table. Devil's Tower is a petrified tree. I mean, here's the thing. It looks like a tree stump. That doesn't mean it's a tree stump. I don't know if it's a tree stump. I don't remember the Devil's Tower, to be honest, way back. I don't remember even looking like this. I know there's a conspiracy theory that it's a tree stump, an ancient petrified tree stump. I have no idea at this point. I mean, I don't know how you'd even know. Now, when you have petrified wood, and I do have petrified wood because I'm a rock hound, usually you can see some kind of a cell structure, bark structure, and a ring structure in the petrified wood. There's a few exceptions to that, but even then you can kind of see it in a ring-like color patterning. But usually you can see even little vesicles and stuff all in there if it's petrified wood. There have been no indications of the Devil's Tower having any of that. So for now, I would say no, it's not a petrified tree. There's no other indications other than the general shape. Sounds exciting. I don't know. But, who knows? A couple more shifts, maybe new info will come out. And it will be a petrified tree. I have no idea anymore. I really don't know what's going to happen. Curls on Jefferson's hair. I think I covered that a few weeks ago. The hair of the two on the left has been developing. First it was Washington. But, yeah. They're getting this funny hair lock, like a giant puffy sideburn thing. I don't remember that on any of them originally. Vitruvian man used to have 1 or 2 more pairs of arms. I remember a total of 3 pairs for me. It's an older ME, though. Didn't CERN put a mummy into the Large Hadron Collider, and now there's some undiscovered tomb? I don't know. CERN, mummy, LHC. I've never heard of anything of that. Why do they put a mummy in the LHC? Apparently, it comes from this YouTube one. I don't know, just like anything, you got to watch what you hear on YouTube because, people say anything to get listeners. I don't have the sound on, so I don't think you'll hear it. Some amazing info has reached me regarding the LHC. A person that works for the LHC has been in contact with me. Yeah, okay, so this person claims to have secret info by an unknown contact deep within CERN. It's kind of like the oldest thing in the book. I don't know. I don't really trust it without any backup info or evidence. Otherwise, it's just, he could have been making it up. Could be true. Who the heck knows? Jefferson's hair looks more like a Superman curl. Yeah, it's been kind of developing that way for a while. Did the guy under Adam always have that curly long hair? I'll tell you, the guy under Adam used to be in his own panel. Now he's just been sneaking up into Adam's panel. So I actually don't remember what the guy under Adam looked like originally because he wasn't in that picture. Adam's hand is definitely higher than God. Yep. They used to be further apart, too, which is interesting. That was a while back, though. That was one that changed in front of my eyes. Almost. I mean, within a few weeks I had looked at it and then it changed again because they used to be originally the ME was that their hands were far apart. Let's see. Oh yeah, the first ME was that they had that God was higher and then had gone even. And I really looked at it a lot because of that ME. Then a few weeks later, the hands got really close together, and that was the second stage of the ME. And since then, the hands have been slowly sinking, and there's been a lot of changes to the appearance of God. Adam looks somewhat similar, but the guy under him has changed. The sky behind it has changed. Now they keep talking about a bridge to Sicily. Yeah, well, Sicily's so close now. Italy slanted at a weird angle. Yep, I've covered that one before. God showing his butt. Yeah. The Sistine Chapel. Now there's this one where God's butt is naked. That one has been changing too, because originally there was just a little sliver of his butt, and now it's like his whole butt and a little bit of his leg is visible. So that one's. Whenever I'm not sure if something's an ME, I keep an eye on it, and if it's a fresh ME, you'll usually catch it changing more. And that is an indicator to me that yes, it was an ME, because it seems like they change rapidly when they're new. So if you're not sure on something, keep an eye on it. If it's new, it will probably change, especially for things like art. Do I have any theories about why certain things are changed? Only really vague ones. I've gone over some of them before. I think a lot of things are changed because a few things are changed and there is a carry-on effect. I'm actually going to cover one of those a little bit later. It's pretty evident that CERN are highly suspect in causing the ME. I don't know. To me, CERN didn't even exist until rather recently and did not create the World Wide Web. It wasn't around. It had nothing to do with that. The CERNets were not the first video on the internet. To me, CERN is an ME. And I wonder if it's all kind of holistic. CERN might be just part of the story. They may not be what caused it. Who knows, though? Who knows? The whole Mediterranean looks weird. What really looks weird... What really looks weird to me is the whole east side of Europe. Kazakhstan, all that. I don't even recognize that stuff. Alright, this one is just kind of a drive-by. I just saw this lightning. Really fat lightning. Lightning is getting really fat now. This one is supposed to be from a special kind of lightning that goes ground up. But it's just fat. Another one, look, it looks like a tree. It's lightning. It's getting more and more extreme. Fat. Even in the ground, the regular top down. That's huge fat lightning. I never saw anything like that before. I just wanted to stick that one in there real quick. Also, the red sprites are getting easier and easier to see. Last time I covered this, I don't think I had any images that were this clear. It's taken on the ground. Used to be you'd only see it from like satellites. And before that, in my original timeline, it was only hypothesized that people had witnessed it and claimed to have seen it, but they didn't have any photos. Now you can really see it even from the ground. It's really bright. So, another just weird image. You can see there's a lot of really just normal sprite images now. They're really strong and different these are just different locations. So sprites are a thing now, big time. Oops, that's the UFOs. Yep, definitely a thing. You can see what I was looking for. I was actually looking for a good image to put on the front of for the thumbnail. I didn't really find any I loved, but all right. I ran by this one on Reddit. All right, I've just started hearing about these the last few years. A keloid scar is a type of raised scar. So I've heard like you get a nasty injury, and sometimes you get a raised scar, and it looks gross. But it was always just when the skin knitted together, sometimes it would be kind of bumbly because, the cut was bumbly. Well, it looks like keloids have taken been taken to a whole new level since then. Keloids grow much larger than the wound that caused the scar. And they're not joking. You can see, now this is just like the sum total of what I thought a keloid would look like. But apparently now a keloid is like the body starts healing and it goes overboard and it doesn't stop growing. And you get these giant, disgusting things. There was a thing on TV where this girl got her ears pierced, and then it made these giant nodules on her ears. And they're saying keloids grow on your ears when people get them pierced sometimes. Never heard of that as a danger of ear piercing, to grow giant freaking ear nodules. I mean, they'd say infection, but nothing like that. Nothing. All right, this is kind of gross, but here are some of them. So these are caused from, a lot of these are caused from ear piercings. I guess this one was done on purpose. Now, this would be like the worst one I'd ever seen. But, so this guy, apparently some people, they just never stop growing. They get little cuts or something, and then these keloids just take over the universe. Well, this guy maybe got some little cuts when he was shaving or something. Supposedly they can form after a tattoo now. It's just freaking me out, okay? With the keloids, I'm gonna kill that one. But here's an image of somebody. So they grow for years. Like he gets little pimples or something, and then they just grow and grow and grow and grow. That was not a problem before. You didn't just get scars and they just went crazy. So that's a new freaky thing for me, these freaking keloids. No. Wrong. Just wrong. I never ever seen a sprite for real. They were supposed to be almost invisible from the ground. Yeah, and they were just hypothesized almost, like people had reported seeing them, but they had no images of them. Then they had some fuzzy images from space, and now they have lots of ground images. No problemos. U.S. military invented the internet. Yeah, first it was ARPANET, and then one of the colleges, like some scientists got in and helped. It was military plus private scientists. It had nothing to do with CERN. CERN was not involved. Listen or read the Book of Enoch. Everything is explained in details. All right, this might be sounds weird, but I had never heard of the Book of Enoch until about 4 or 5 years ago. Now it's everywhere. Now maybe it was there. I'm not a Bible expert, but nobody was talking about the Book of Enoch 5 years ago. Now it's everywhere. So that's all I have to say about the Book of Enoch. And the sun is shiny. You can see all different colored orbs. I've been reading a lot about that on like YouTube. Seeing an extra orb. Now some of the people were looking at these extra orbs with the glasses you use for eclipses, and then the orb is no longer visible, so it's not as bright as the sun. But I don't know. I mean, I want to say look right at the sun. It's not real good for you, but who knows? Maybe it's really not even that big a deal. Weren't sprites a medieval thing, believe? Yeah. Well, I think there was like some kind of little fairy thing called sprites. And then because they were sort of mythical, they had named these weird light phenomena sprites. So that there were two different meanings to the word sprite. The medieval creatures were the more well-known one. You kind of had to be a little bit nerdy or something to know about the lightning ones. Basically, I just watch a lot of Learning Channel stuff, and that's how I heard about them. Very clear photos from the 1800s. Yep. Video keeps going back in time. I've not seen any new Emmys on the map lately. Huh. Yeah, it seems like it's been a little slow. The Cernets are ultra creepy. That's what a lot of people have said. The One World Trade Center just popped up. Yeah, for me, they were talking about building it. They were arguing about what the design would be, and then suddenly it was done. I don't remember them agreeing on a design. I don't remember any building of it. It was just done. Electric tree lightning. I'll tell you that, let's see. How do you spell lightning again? All right. This is how, I think it's N-I, I think this is it in this timeline. It used to be E-N-I-N-G for me. I'm pretty sure this is correct. Lightning storm. All right. Oh, you're just talking about the weird pattern. I'll tell you the way that the trees explode into pieces for me is new from lightning. I just remember that lightning would hit. Maybe a few little branches would fall off right where it was hit. It would be scorched, maybe a little bit hot, a few embers in the center. Now, I mean, trees like boom, they fly apart, all that stuff. It didn't used to be like that. All right, so where are we here? All right, this one I just kind of noticed it. This is kind of an older Emmy, the Subaru logo with the stars. Now people remember it having 7 stars to match the Pleiades star constellation that has 7 stars, but it only has 6 stars. And I ran across this thing where it says, Surely you're wondering why there are only 6 stars in Subaru's logo if it's named after a constellation of 7 daughters. The reason is, to the naked eye, The cluster of stars appears to only have 6 stars. 2 are so close together they appear as one big star. Thus, the Pleiades constellation is known for being a unification of the stars. Never heard that the Pleiades constellation is known for being a unification of the stars. First ever heard of it. The other thing I just want to mention is the Subaru logo. Just the stars look really different for me than they did even last year. That there are one less star is an older ME. But I don't remember them all connected in this unification of the stars business. I don't remember them all attached like that. I just remember them separate. Each star was separate. It looks weird now, like some kind of weird shurikens or something. I think that's more of a recent change. Let me go back. Also, I don't ever recall seeing this older Subaru logo version, which is this one. I think this was supposed to have been here till 2003. I have never seen this before. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's still 6. Never seen it with these. What's up with the lines? I mean, what would be even the point of it? I don't get it. All right, so there it is. Till 2003 it was that. I've never seen that before. Ever. Anyway, so I just want to mention that one. All right. Now, somebody had made a point that weird stuff, a weird thing was sighted, Northern California, and it's this. Now, there's another video where it basically looks like there was some kind of meteor, and there's a straight flash. And then they're saying that high winds blew the whatever it is, the vapor trail, the dust trail, all over the place and made it all wiggly like that. Now, my old timeline, they just didn't leave these permanent vapor trails behind. The vapor trails supposedly can be caught by the sun. It just wasn't the case that would happen before. But so then it got all wiggly and weird. And there's a lot of people saying, what's this friggin' thing? Now, apparently there was a launch scheduled for today, but it didn't launch, so it was canceled. So this is not the weird launch, which is interesting. It happened on the same exact time and day, about the same time that they usually do the launches, but the launch was scrubbed at the last minute. So basically this person's just taking video of it, but you don't see too much movement. It's supposed to be in Northern California. There were a few videos almost everywhere all over Reddit, but it didn't show much different than this. So supposedly they're saying it was a comet. I don't know. The thing is, one person could put one video up showing, and it could have been photoshopped, high-end Photoshop, so you can't easily detect it. And you can explain away anything that way. So who knows? I don't know. But supposedly somebody caught it on a car video. Right, there's the mirror eye. Earth is no longer the third planet of the sun, huh? Let's see. That'd be interesting. Some people remember it as the fourth rock from the sun. So who the heck knows? Mercury, Venus, Earth. All right, it still looks like the third for me, Mars. A lot of changes on there, but Earth's still the third, according to this. This one also. Freaking Ceres. Anyway. Hour and a half mark. Thought I was going to go fast today, but I'm not doing a good job. Alright. Here's one for you guys. What were the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse? It was famine, war, death. What was the 4th one? After famine, war, and death. What was the 4th horseman of the apocalypse called? I'm going to use this time to read through your old stuff here. The black background on McDonald's, is that an ME? It's been popping up at a lot of places rather suddenly. And McDonald's by me suddenly got it. The weird thing is I never see them painting these things. They change suddenly, and that makes me suspicious. But that one's a little bit off my normal beaten path, so... All right. Plague, pestilence. Everybody's saying plague or pestilence. Okay. Well, apparently, a lot of sources are saying that the four horsemen, the fourth one is conquest. And that's a new one for me. I've never heard that as a horseman. Apocalypse. Although some interpret difference, in most accounts, the four riders are seen as symbolizing conquest, war, famine, and death. For me, it was pestilence. Some places are even saying that Jesus and conquest are the same thing, and that Jesus is part of the four horsemen, which I've never heard before. This one was brought up on Reddit from a Redditor named Soco Prime, SOCOPRIME, on Retconned. Anyway, so definitely weird. Never heard of conquest as being a horseman. Weird. Yeah, conquest. Conquest would be closer to war. Yeah, I know, you'd think. Does anybody remember Barry Nelson playing the first James Bonds? No, I don't. I wasn't a Bond fan, and I wasn't around back then, so I was a little suspicious of that, and I know some other people have questioned that. I can't really comment, though. It just wasn't my area of info. Anyway, so I call foul on that one. Conquest was not one of the four horsemen. Conquest is not obviously a bad thing. It would depend on how it's done and what you're trying. It's such a vague term. It could be just going out into the forest and surviving on your own, or it could be, it's kind of a vaguer term. War, famine, and death and pestilence are obviously icky, but conquest is a little bit less obviously evil. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it means, but has the American flag changed? American flag flip-flops. Now, the one I had on my saved images is actually not the correct one for this timeline, though. Because the one I have on my images is the way I remember it before, long ago, with the stars all lined up like this, and this. And we used to have to draw that thing. See, like this. This is how I remember it. But and they even said, my teacher said, that we're missing a few stars. We didn't have all 50 stars because they were too lazy to rewrite, to redraw, and redo the American flag when the last few states came on board. So we were missing a couple. And they said that was why. But now in this timeline, they've got this staggered design, and they have all 50. Now, what keeps changing is where these stripes are. Stripe was white. I look at the stripe under the blue, and my first timeline, I believe, originally was white. But this has been flip-flopping, and Mandela Effects pointed this out first, that the white, for a while, had turned to red, and so I was kind of flipping out. And then a while back, it changed back to the white here. So this is kind of my original timeline, although the star field looks different. And then it switched to be red underneath, like this one. Then it switched back to be white underneath. But this one is more like my original with the white underneath here. Anyway, just a trip. You can see there's a lot that have the red underneath right now. So keep an eye on that. So we're at my original timeline, at least with the stripe here. But that one is flipped like more than once. Carolyn Thranen, you see the weird thing in the sky. Yeah, I just covered that one. Somebody released a video and it looks like it's some kind of comet that left a trail that supposedly the wind messed up and somehow the sunlight is able to hit and made this weird whole thing. I don't know. It was the storyline that they're coughing up right now anyway. All right, so that one. Okay, this is... Now, you've probably heard of bursitis. Think of what you knew about bursitis. Problems in your elbow, that kind of thing. Schumann resonance going crazy. Yeah, usually after I have a giant flu, there's a lot of MEs. So, I don't know, maybe we'll see them in the next few weeks. But I'm not seeing anything right now, so... I'm not seeing a lot anyway. Anyway, I'm glad you all remember pestilence. Nobody remembers conquest. That's interesting. Because that's supposed to be the most common one right now. All right, so bursitis is not just a little minor swelling of the elbow anymore. You can get this, which looks like an alien implant. This guy supposedly fell, banged his arm, and this happened. I've never seen anything like this, but apparently he damages the bursa and it leaks into the main area, and somehow it's all encapsulated like this giant... It's gross. So he said he just waited it out and it went back down. I've never seen anything like that, but apparently that bursitis can be like that now. Let me go back to... somewhere in here they describe it. I think I had this pulled up before, but I don't have it anymore. But anyways, I've never seen anything like that before. Used to be, you'd swell, it would just be kind of diffuse pop bursa sac is what they're saying. They say usually it heals on its own and the body reabsorbs the fluids, but just weird. Eva's flus has caused the Mandela effect. Yeah, you know what? I still see changes even when I'm not sick, though. I think I might be more of a drive-by victim there. Crazy world of normal heaven. Helen has to go to work. Bummers, but I do understand. That's why I do it at midnight, so nothing bugs me. Do you remember the All-Stars logo being on the outer side of the sneaker logo? I don't think I really... Let me look. I don't really remember the All-Stars logo. Outer side of the sneaker... It's not on the outer. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. So you could see it. Was it on the inner side now? It doesn't even make sense if it is. I can't tell with these images, though. I mean, you'd put it on the outside so that you could see the image. If it's inside your feet, it's hidden. Oh, look, it's on the inside. That's weird. Yes, I definitely remember it. I wanted to say you're wrong, but yeah, look. Look at that. They're all like that too. There's another image that has it. That's stupid too. You put it on the outside so people could see it. People all to your right and all to your left could see it. Now that'll be blocked by your other foot. It's weird. Yeah, I definitely remember it being on the outside. Yeah, okay. I'll give you that one. Yeah, look, see? They're on the inside here. Well, not on that one, but that's just a drawing. Yep, and then they have to angle it weird because you can't see the logo. So they have to angle the shoe weird so you can see the logo. Well, see, look. They have to put this one higher because otherwise this one would block it. Yep, there it is. Yeah, good observation. I don't wear those, so it's not something I would easily notice, especially because most of the time they'll just show one shoe and you don't know if it's the right or left shoe. That one looks like the curve is in here, so those shoes are out of order. Huh. And you could definitely see those are on the inside. A good find. Yeah, they would want to. That's weird. Yeah, who came up with that plan? It makes no sense. Oh yeah, Joshua. I was gonna get to yours. Joshua Vencedor. I found yesterday I've grown 2 shoe sizes in the lapse of 2 years without any reason. Now, I've heard it said that your feet get bigger as you get older, but we're talking really slowly was the old story. Like maybe 1 or 2 shoe sizes over your whole life, not over 2 years. And you're not the only one who said that. Now mine, I don't know. We talked before about the changes in the foot being like the where the toes are, the smaller toe coming more out to the side. I've continued to have problems with that small toe being sore now because when I play sports, it mashes against the side of the shoe. I've got a number of different shoes. It does it on all of my shoes. So it seems like that toe is toughening up though, and it's getting better. But just say the new foot design is not real great for sports, especially if you do a bunch of side-to-side lateral motion and stuff. So, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, with Emmy gave me that toe out the side, but it didn't give me a toughened toe, so that's kind of rude. Definitely kind of rude. All right, so yes, good find on the logo. That's weird. He remembers the logos always being on the inside, your husband. Why would it be on the inside? That makes no sense even. That's a dumb one, and I love Converse. My friend wears them, and I have to check it out tomorrow. Yeah, let me know, but I'm sure that's what it's going to be. Why would you put a logo on the inside? Who would freaking think of that? If both sides, then okay, yeah. If it was on both sides of the shoe, but it's not. Weird. You see that sometimes I think, okay, maybe like for the Subaru logo, okay, maybe the Pleiades star cluster changes. So then all the logos that are based off the Pleiades star cluster have to change. So sometimes I think, if you go back far enough, there'll be an explanation, some kind of lawsuit somewhere, some kind of rationale, and maybe it hasn't even shown up fully in the timeline yet, and you'll find out later. But this one is hard to decipher. Definitely hard. Plume. I didn't mention your name. I'm sorry. What did I not properly credit you with? I apologize. Other than being here, obviously. Thank you. I've had 2 babies in that time. My feet went from size 9 to size 11 in 6 years. I've never heard of it being attributed to babies. So I don't know. All right, so where are we? All right, another Bob Robertson one. Bob knows a lot of history. If you look at my comments later, there's a lot of them. I don't cover all of them. Some of his history is just something I think most of us wouldn't know. And it's hard to cover it all because he has a lot. Check out my comments for his, for some of his stuff that I don't cover. Now, you've heard of the Red Scare, the beginning of the Cold War in the USA. There was a big phobia about communism. And it was called the Red Scare. And they did some stupid stuff because they were paranoid and accusing people of all kinds of stuff. Well, it was the Red Scare. But in this time, it's stuff in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s was the second Red Scare. And there was another Red Scare before that called the first Red Scare. And interestingly, it has to do with this anarchist stuff. 1919 to 1920, concerns over effects of radical political agitation in American society and the alleged spread of communism and anarchism in the American labor movement fueled a general sense of concern. So this was the first Red Scare, and it kind of similar problems, unwarranted arrests, detentions, deportations of suspected radicals and anarchists. I have never heard of a freaking anarchist until a couple of weeks ago when Bob found it. And apparently there was a first Red Scare in this timeline. And the second, we always learned the Red Scare was this big, bad, stupid time. Well, apparently it was just a second one now. I don't know. Tripping me out. There was only one Red Scare in my old timeline. And I don't remember anything about these anarchists. I don't know. Weird. All right, so apparently, you've heard of the Chicago fire. A few weeks ago, I covered the New York fire. Apparently, most of the big cities have all burnt down once because now we have the Great Boston Fire of 1872. Ranks as one of the most costly fire-related property losses in American history. It was the Chicago fire and the San Francisco earthquake were the biggies. But now we've got the New York fire, the Great Boston Fire, all these other things. 12 hours fire consumed 65 acres of Boston's downtown, 776 buildings, much of the financial district, $73.5 million in damage, which was a lot of money back then. Anyways, it's just I don't know. Now that I'm really suspicious of that one, but okay, I covered New Madrid, covered that one. One thing we were talking about on Redcon recently was all these new Christmas things, and we talked about the upside down Christmas trees. And we talked about we've already talked about the Christmas pickle. Nobody remembered it. And I've already talked about the Christmas Eve box. Almost nobody remembered that. A couple others we started talking about was elf on a shelf. Apparently that's an old time-honored tradition too. Most of us never heard of it before a few years ago. So apparently elf on a shelf is a thing that was around a long time. I have never heard of elf on a shelf before, just recently. I thought it was about some movie or something. Christmas Tradition is a 2005 children's picture book. Have not heard about it. I really thought it was like brand new. Anyways, keep an eye on this. Elf on a Shelf, a Christmas Tradition is 2005 children's picture book. So anyway, it goes back a long ways. Keep an eye on it. I think it's also... The other one that we were kind of talking about was this Krampus thing that gives Christmas a dark spin. Showed up recently. It's like in folklore, Krampus is a horned anthropomorphic figure described as half goat, half demon, who during the Christmas season punishes children who have misbehaved, in contrast with St. Nicholas, who rewards well-behaved children. Krampus is one of the companions of St. Nicholas in several regions, including Austria, Bavaria, Croatia, Czech Republic, Hungary, northern Italy, including South Tyrol and province of Trento, Slovakia, and Slovenia. The origin of the figure is unclear. Some postulate it having pre-Christian origins. Has anybody from any of these regions or know about these regions ever heard of Krampus being from those regions? And even if it was, why has it gotten so popular? It's a little suspicious here with this thing. I thought again that it was from some movie, but apparently the movie is from this storyline. I guess you could blame it on the movie, but for weirdly, I don't know. I mean, all of this could be explained away, but I just think it's weird that there's so many stories, changing storylines to the Christmas story recently. I mean, creepy movies are not new, but we've got so many new additions to the Christmas I used to know. I heard of Krampus only in the last year. So supposedly, I think there was a movie, right? Krampus movie. So they would probably blame the rise of Krampus on the movie. 2015 American dark fantasy comedy horror. The thing is, every time I turn around now, there's video of some kind of Krampus character during Christmas now. And if this movie wasn't that popular, why is it taking over Christmas? The other thing, God, did this covered? I'm not sure if I covered this. There's been a lot of mentions of people putting up crosses with like crucified Jesuses and crucified Santa Clauses up for Christmas. And the cross and Christmas are now supposedly linked, which the thing is, Christmas is the birth of Jesus, supposedly. It is not the death of Jesus, which is supposed to be Easter. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it just seems like Christmas has gotten a little bit less pleasant lately. The movie was based on folklore, but really it only started about 5 years ago. Well, the movie said it was based on folklore. What I want to know is, anybody ever heard of it before that movie? Especially any of the people in that region. All right. Next. I made some progress. There's another one by Bob Robertson. Apparently there was something called the mother of all demos in 1968 by Douglas Engelbart. Douglas Engelbart changed computer history forever in 1968. Anybody ever heard of this mother of all demos? Computer history took a giant leap when Douglas Engelbart gave what has come to be known as the mother of all demos. All right, any of you computer techie guru people ever heard of this thing? At a computer conference in San Francisco, Engelbart showed off the first inklings of numerous technologies that we all take for granted. Video conferencing, a modern desktop-styled user interface, word processing, hypertext, the mouth, collaborative editing, among other things. Engelbart outlined his vision of the future more than a half-century ago in his historic 1962 paper, Augmenting Human Intellect, a Conceptual Framework. To open the 90-minute-long presentation, Engelbart posited a question that almost seemed trivial to us in the early 21st century. If in your office, you, as an intellectual worker, were supplied with a computer display backed up by a computer that was alive for you all day and was instantly responsive to every action you had, how much value would you derive from that? Of course, at the time, computers were vast behemoths that were light years away from the pocket-sized devices, blah, blah, blah. But apparently he had all these things, like an early version of things. Engelbart had created what he called the online system, or NLS, a proto-intranet. The ARPANET, the predecessor of the internet, would not be established until late the following year. 5 years later, Xerox debuted the Alto, considered the first modern personal computer, 1973. I don't remember any modern personal computers in 1973. My dad worked in the computer industry. He did not get computers in 1973. In fact, he said that the computers were in big refrigerated rooms that were freaking cold. And he didn't like working in them because there was like clean rooms that were refrigerated and it was cold and it was a big pain in the butt. Anyway, I've never heard of this mother of all demos, so suspicious. All right, this next one is from Kamsin, who is a commenter, Khamsin, located in Memphis. He said there's been this thing called a freezing fog that he never heard of, or an ice fog. Now, both of these are listed under a wiki. So basically he said there was a fog that came through and everything it touched turned to ice. So he called it like a freezing fog or an ice fog. Both of these now exist. I have not heard of them. Let's see if we can get this going. A type of fog consisting of fine ice crystals. So basically you have a fog made out of ice crystals suspended in the air. Water droplets suspended in the air can remain liquid down to minus 40 degrees. I've not really heard that water droplets can remain liquid to minus 40 degrees if in the air. Should be distinguished from diamond dust, which is a precipitation of sparse ice crystals falling from a clear sky. That's an older ME for me, diamond dust. Beautiful thing, but should also be distinguished from freezing fog, which is commonly called pogonip in the western United States. Supposedly, early settlers called it the White Death because they believed the crystals got into their lungs and caused death. Now, what I remember for the White Death was it was whiteout conditions. And so you couldn't find your way out of places and you would get lost and die. That was the White Death. Now, apparently, it's crystals in the lungs, or whatever, which wouldn't have killed you anyway. Ice fog can be quite common in interior northern Alaska. What's weird is this person was in Memphis, so it's not Alaska. Ice crystals form in the air. The ice crystals will then settle on surfaces. It could be that. I'm still kind of vague on the difference between ice fog and freezing fog. It didn't really say on here the difference. But weird. Anyways, might be a new kind of fog. I have not heard of that kind of fog before. Okay, here's the thumbnail creature. This one's cool. So we've got this disco clam that has like this weird light show. Check it out. So it's a clam, and then it has this light show on its mouth. Someone asked if it was a fish or something else. It's neither. It's this clam thing. Get out of there. So yeah, weird. So yeah, I'm calling Disco Clam, another from Bob Bobertson. Good find. Covered that one. I ran into, there's a lot of weird cats now. This is another one. Iberian lynx. Different than the Canadian lynx. I don't think I've ever seen this guy. He's like a lynx times 2. Kind of a more extreme face. Very neat looking animal. I've never seen this lynx. I looked into the different species of lynx about 3-4 years ago. I was checking for what was endangered and what wasn't. This guy was not on the lynx list at that time. No way. There was no Iberian lynx. Neat looking guy. Anyway, so I'm calling ME on that one. Look at that. That's really cool. All right, I will put... All right, you have to see something creepy. It's not too bad, but... Whoops. I first saw this, I'm like, what the heck? What the heck is it? You first see it and you can't even figure out what it is. What is this thing? Definitely an ME for me. I've never seen that before. Okay, so apparently what this is that these shrews, the baby shrews bite on the butt of the one in front of them, and then they all form this like living chain. Sounds rather painful, especially if you're here. You got all these guys dragging behind you. So basically each one of these guys is chomped onto the one in front of them. And as the mother runs, they all just flop along behind. You can see here, this one kind of trips up and they make like a little weird spinny circle thing. So that's an ME for me. They kind of explain it down here. Somebody explains shrews. Can't find it now. But anyway, just weird. New behavior. I mean, you'd have to have like a specialized region. Wouldn't that cause infection and stuff? That'd be a pretty powerful bite in order to have all those hanging off. Weird. Krampus was a German thing. Okay, well, they're not saying, let's see. Where did they say Krampus came from, though? Was it German? Wikipedia. Where did I say it was from? Yes, okay. That's kind of German area, but the Germany's not actually on this list. So Austria and stuff, but not Germany. Oh, Plume found the All-Stars. Good find, good find. Yes, very smart. Plume gets all the credit for noticing the All-Star logo on the other side of the shoe, which makes no sense at all why they put it there. That's very weird. Very weird. Stuff like that, I really wonder why that stuff's changed. I really do, because it's just not smart. Unless they're going to put something on the outside or something's going to change about shoes or something and they need to make space on the outside. I don't know. Maybe the foot's going to get weird on the outside and it won't be a good place to put the logo. I don't know. Just wild guess here, but... All right, this is the last one. Last one for today. Now, I've talked about the fire falls in Yosemite, but apparently Yosemite Falls, which is kind of the main falls, turns to a rainbow sometimes, and it's pretty cool. They're saying that if there's high winds near sunrise, Yosemite Falls turns into a cascading rainbow. I never heard of that one, and I did look into rainbow falls before, like a year ago, and I did not find this. Let's see if I can get it to load here. See if I can find something on YouTube. The thing about YouTube, it's predictable how long it takes to load stuff. So here it is. It turns into a rainbow falls. I've never heard of sunrise making everything rainbow like that, but that's really cool. So he's saying he woke up early and just happened to catch that. I think we're going to see more of these rainbow falls things. Rays of sun bouncing off of high wind, water, vapor, blah, blah. So I'm closing with that one. Very cool. Rainbow Falls. So Yosemite Falls now is like Rainbow Falls. And that's it. 2 hours, 11 minutes. Not too bad. Rainbows everywhere. Yep. It's called the Lamia. Sweet Joy, check out the flag next time. White under the stars, not red. Yeah, I was covering that earlier. White is my original timeline. It flipped to red for a while. Back to white now. So anyways, thank you all. I'm going to see if I can get my voice calmed down so I can go back to sleep. Hopefully by next week I'll have the voice under control. I actually feel pretty good except for my voice. The voice is very itchy. It's hard to stop coughing. Usually I'd be long over with by now, so I don't know what the deal is. But anyway, thanks for coming, and hopefully I will have less coughing next week. I have a whole 7 more days. Plus Christmas is coming up, so got to get it under control. Anyway, thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. Keep up the good work. Hang in there. Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline. Oh, doesn't look like successfully logged out. I have no idea if I'm logged out or not now. It says my live stream is good, yet my logout option is not visible. I'm going to try killing it this way then. Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.